Welcome viewers, this is Tex of the Black Pants Legion. Now this is an interview. I've spoken with admins, hosts, developers, and other creatives behind Space Station 13 before, and they are notoriously antisocial types who generally don't like to talk with or at people for prolonged periods of time, as they are judge, jury, and executioner on a server, and can't be seen demonstrating favoritism. At least in theory. Anyways, here's how this works. I'm putting out an open call to any and all Space Station 13 admins on any public listed servers. This call is here, so answer it. If you're interested in answering or participating in an interview about Space Station 13, its history, and your server, please respond. See the description below for an email contact. I'll try to get to you and we can set something up. That being said, this is an interview with a Space Station 13 admin. The questions are largely freeform, and the discussion does not reflect exactly the policy of the server, unless stated otherwise by the person I'm interviewing. The reason I say this is I want to encourage an admin to be frank, honest, and open about their experiences without worrying they're shitting on the server, or to prevent them from being yelled at for representing the server community in a bad way. This is a point of view and not, I repeat, not an absolute definition of doctrine on said server. Disclaimer over. That being said, I welcome our interviewee. Please, internet person, tell me your name you wish to go by, your server, and your admin rank.
Hey, what's up? I go by BD Puffy 420, but most people know me as James Russell or the James Russell Experience. I'm actually the host of Halo Space Station Evolved. Yeah.
All right. So, James Russell, tell us about your server, its history, and what makes it unique in the world of Space Station 13.
Oh man, Halo Space Station Evolved actually has a pretty funny history actually. Because originally back, probably around 2014, I was still, that era of best RP and Unbound Travels and stuff, all that. So I was just still like roaming around back then. And I decided to make my own little server, which I started off, which was called Russell Station, or then we later renamed it Prometheus Station.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly at the time, like, it was like near the end of my old original server. A few of my devs and staff, we were just like bullshitting one day in Skype. We were like, hey, it'd be funny, let's just, just troll the subreddit. So we decided to make a fake post originally. Like, you could still probably find it, because when we initially first started the project, it was called UNSC Infinity, and we were going to do stuff on, past Halo 4, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We just did this whole long, drawn-out post saying we're going to do this and that, and we weren't really expecting much, but it turned out people really wanted the idea of a Halo server, and people started hitting me up wanting to contribute, and I was like, shit, well, at this point, we actually have to do it now.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you get that much out of an accident, I think people want it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like, so we started setting up shop as UNSC Infinity, started working on it, and then we decided to change it up, because it's like, 343 stuff, let's do the more Halo stuff people like, so we changed it to Halo Space Station Evolved, which focuses more around like the first 3 games and like a little bit before the Human Covenant War, stuff like that.
All right. Now, being someone who does know their Halo lore and has read most of the books, because I do find it actually pretty well put together, what made you decide to focus on that era? Is it that you considered the classic Halo before the change of studios to be more in line with what you think is the more genuine experience?
Honestly, yes, and like there's like a lot of stuff, because mainly right now, or in our current server arc, we're like mainly focused on the big early starts of the Human Covenant War, because there's like a lot of content that's not really heavily explored in until like later on, until they touched in, because like before the Human Covenant War, we have insurrectionists, so the United Rebel Front and all that. So
yeah,
I feel like it was a little easy way to start off to get something together, so people can start playing the server, just little bits and pieces before we started getting to the main chunk of the Human Covenant War bit, so we could just ease into it.
All right. So, what makes your station unique other than the setting? Do you have any mechanics or an ethos or philosophy that makes it a little substantially different than what people would normally get?
Yes. We actually have a few features. Like, back around 2014-ish, our head dev, as of now, Kale, he was able to rewrite some of the old overmap code, so we had space combat and ship v ship stuff like that. Some pretty interesting stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but like recently now, like how the formula is, it's like we rebased to the more current base, so we kind of did lose some of those features, but we're gonna re-implement them as we're currently doing. So we've rewritten some of the ship combat stuff, and we'll be getting back to space combat very soon. Because right now, the main bit is our Covenant arc, because everybody's ready for the main, big fight between UNSC and all that.
Yeah, indeed. Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of where it goes, at least in terms of what people want, I would think.
Yeah, but we're gonna probably do a little twist on it, because it's like, ideally, it would be cool to have like a planet side 2 type scenario, because we have right now, like, we have RP factions players can join. You can either join the UNSC, the Covenant, or the Union, like the United Rebel Front and stuff like that. And so in those said factions, you will be able to like partake into some extra like server canon events we end up having every now and then, that can be later be added to our server wiki.
Yeah.
To get a little bit extra RP out of it, because it's like we are a medium to high RP server, but it's like I don't want us to be stuck with the typical high RP stuff, but it's like it's more RP encouraged but not heavily enforced type of philosophy.
I understand. Like, you have a want, but you're not going to penalize someone for slipping.
Yeah, we're pretty relaxed over here generally.
So, why should a player choose to play on your station? The setting, the ethos of it, being a little more relaxed, a little more chill, perhaps is it being that it is action-oriented?
Yeah, there is that, because you could still get like action in RP, because like we do have civilian roles where you could still go like, if you don't want to be part of the main like firefight or just main conflict, you can still create your own story, because as a colonist you can go mining, stuff like that, and sell ore to like NPC traders. Because we have different types of traders. We have crop traders, ore traders, and we have gun smugglers, so you can like sell guns, buy guns, and other black market materials, and just general NPC stuff like that. Because we're just always adding like new features.
All right. So what is the most common thing new players ask about your station when they join?
Generally, the most number one thing is, what the fuck do I do? I don't know what I'm doing. And the wiki is not complete, which is all true. Because it's like, we do have like a variety of different modes, so it's like, it's kind of hard to pinpoint like what a new player should be doing. It really is, because it's situational. It depends. Like, if it's like first contact, you can like, I don't know, I guess play on the UNSC side or be a civilian or insurrectionist, either one of those groups, and probably start learning the ropes. I'd probably recommend probably starting off as a colonist or a marine.
Mm-hmm.
You want to like get to just dip your toes in it without getting too heavily in line with certain roles and whatnot.
So, why are you an admin? What made you host? What made you want to create and share this? What made you volunteer your time? Because nothing in Space Station 13 is as easy as saying, I have an idea for a server.
Well, it's because it's like, honestly, in my like origin story as James Russle as myself, because it's like I first started off as like a kind of a gray tide griefer, basically, because I used to just troll, do stuff like that for year on in. But then it's like I kind of like burnt down on it. It's like, well, I want to just do something different. Let me just try to want to create something instead of just going around just trying to like just be a jackass.
All right. So, what is the hardest part about being an admin on your server, from the perspective of your server?
First, I want to say it's like I love my staff team. Like I feel like we got it pretty good going on where we're at. And it's like I appreciate every single last one of them. But it can get overwhelming sometimes for an admin, because especially like depending on if it's a high pop, it's like, because a lot of features are probably not documented right or haven't been done yet. So it's like you'll end up running into some certain issues that you really might not be prepared to like handle, because like a dev may have accidentally changed the line of code and it like messed a feature's not working as intended.
Right,
So it's
right.
kind of I guess kind of difficult to stay on the curve or like the head of the curve on a very always constantly changing code base that is not like defined like Bay or TG or anything like that.
Especially when you're in development.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
So, what are the greatest challenges you've faced as an admin so far in your experience on your server?
Hmm, that is a tough one. I feel like this was probably like 2 years ago, like, because I've been doing this for a while now, just hosting and all that. And I feel like the most craziest thing that has happened to me while being the host is this guy tried to sue me, which was pretty hilarious.
So, someone just said arbitrarily, I'm going to sue this one station.
Yeah, essentially, how this story went was this person used to be like what was he was a lore master basically, just there to it's like an extra role just to help out, come up with ideas if we wanted to do something, see if it was lore friendly or not.
Yeah.
And one day he decided to like just get overzealous, coming up with these like ridiculous ideas, like basically making the RF like space ices and all this. And then like later on, he went on the subreddit making like multiple posts at a time about the server, like saying what, like talking about these features that like we didn't even know, like we weren't even gonna do. He just started saying we were gonna do it, and then I think what tops it all off, he told Apophis he was pre-banned from our server because he went on the Colonial Marines trying to do a Q&A for our server on theirs in OOC. And I'm like, dude, what's the
Yeah.
problem? And so, of course, we gave him the boot, which later turned to him trying to get my personal information saying, hey, you guys are trying to use my ideas that I came up with, so I'm going to sue you for that. And I'm like, dude, you can't do that.
I think in any creator nowadays is going to find that litigious processes are going to be all the more common. So, how do you combat special snowflakes on your server? Every server tends to have one or two or many that try to make the game revolve around them and their Mary Sue of a character. How does your server handle that?
Ooh, that is a very, very tough one, man. Because it's like, as of now, like out of all the factions, I would have to say more of the snowflakey types would tend to gravitate towards the Covenant faction in general, because it's like xenomorphs, like aliens. So you know the types that kind of attract to that certain type of idea. So far, we've been just trying to like mentor them, at least try to be like nudge them in a different direction to be like, hey, probably like relax on that, or just remind them, hey, like you can respond in 10 minutes, stuff happens. Generally try not to hold their hand because you gotta nip that in the bud, man.
I agree. I agree. So, what is your opinion on people who have the aim to play in your station and record, or what about those who intend to stream?
uh I really have no mind of it, go ahead, because I know we had Boat Bomber. He did a brief little thing on our server like a while back when we were running Gymnast, which was a short little brief thing though, because I know he like died like real quick, so he didn't get a lot of footage though, unfortunately.
He dies, but that's kind of part of his process. I like Boat Bomber a lot. I just have to give him shit when I can. So, what is your opinion on metacoms and metafriends? Some stations suffer that more than others.
Metacoms, we really try to like keep an eye out for that normally because we're pretty good on it. Because in certain instances where like if it's a faction event, like because we each on the Discord, the factions have like their own personal little like voice channel, so it's like to some degree, like if there's an event, there will be some slight metacom going on, but just like we try to make it like if you're gonna do it, make sure it's not like over. Be like, hey, can you come to X, Y, and Z and do this, this, and this?
Yeah.
So we
So,
try to like make sure it's not too much. We try to balance it.
I understand. I understand. So, what do you think, in your opinion, makes a good admin good, at least from the perspective of your server?
I really think what makes a good admin is somebody that is willing to actually talk to somebody and work with them, or generally just try to make a better atmosphere for like the whole server in general. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've dealt with like a griefer, like a straight up griefer, just trying to be a shit and just calling me a nigger or a faggot or something like that in PMs. But I just still give them, I just like talk to them, and they end up like defusing the situation and be like, oh well, shit, you didn't ban me, so I guess I'll just leave. Sorry for wasting your time. And it's like surprising amount, if you actually talk to these griefers and you don't ban them, you kind of like deny them of that whole little like high they get from getting banned. And they just generally turn out to be like less shitter after the fact, and they will more than likely just come back and just legitimately play your server instead of just fucking banning them, you know.
Yeah, I understand that. Using your arsenal of, well, adulthood and verbal judo versus smashing a button and moving on.
Yeah, because it's like, if you do that, because it's like, it doesn't really solve the problem, because it's like, yeah, you ban them, but they can just easily just come back, you know, with a virtual machine or something like that, you know.
Of course. I mean, it's beyond. There's always a way through. There's always a way to grief. But I think a permanent handling of things tends to go a lot further.
True. I just like feel like at the end of the day, it's still like just some pixels on the screen. People kind of tend to take Space Station 13 seriously when they really shouldn't, considering like how big the universe is, and there's like, this is so minuscule. Like, we should all just be having fun.
Yeah.
Because we are such a niche community. There's really no need for majority of the stuff that goes on.
Oh, I agree. So, what do you think makes a bad admin bad? What makes an admin insufferable or sabotage what you're trying to create?
Someone who's generally just looking out for themselves, just trying to like better themselves, or just like make certain scenarios where it benefits them. I probably said that 3 times in a row, but it's basically, it's like, if you're like spawning yourself in and like making sure only you're having fun, giving yourself rejuves, or helping out your buddy and while screwing over somebody else, or just giving favoritism to certain people, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, favoritism kind of creeps into the power scale of all admins. At least that temptation, I think, is fairly constant. So, on the nature between the balance between shit curity and Grey Tide, or people trying to maintain order and those trying to break it, whatever your server may have, what's your opinion on trying to maintain that balance?
Really, we try to like, I'm not too sure about that, honestly, because it's like, most of the time when we have Grey Tide shitters and stuff like that, it's like,
yeah,
they can be dealt with icily, so we don't even have, like, the staff should be like the last line of things before we get involved, because majority of the situations that do happen, it's like, shit, just fucking shoot them or something, or just disable them.
Yeah.
So, because like, we have like a lot of people who can like self-police themselves.
I understand. So, in your opinion, what is the best AI law set, if your server has an AI, or that you have seen from playing Space Station 13?
Well, we're currently going to be reworking how AI works, so it's like, only on Gymnast there's an AI slot, but it's not much you can do. But generally, and AI as a whole, I think it's Asimov laws.
Asimov, yeah.
Yeah. It's always a great one. Just always adds for some little extra shenanigans.
What is the best traitor you've ever seen as an admin, or from the perspective of a player in your career of playing Space Station 13?
Man. Jeez, no, that's a tough one. I guess I'll probably pull something from my server, because it's like, I'm trying to think back on my old like SS13 career. It's like, oh geez, man, there's so many notable ones. But
oh yeah, but I mean, I think there's always that one that stands above and beyond. And the reason I ask this question is, even if it's not from the perspective of your server, because some servers don't have end tags, but I think that every admin has their own perspective and experience on creative gameplay.
I do know of this one instance. It did happen. It was like between Saul Frazier, this character. I know he was pretty well known over on Colonial Marines for a little bit, but he was on our server, right? And so the insurrectionists managed to like convince the whole gymnast police department to like just work with them, but I guess he wasn't having it. And so they went to go freaking shoot this guy, and they like left him in the slums for dead. And they thought he was just left for dead. Then like 10 minutes later, he gets up, managed to heal himself, like limps all the way back from the freaking slums back to the police department, fucking dome rocks 2 freaking innies, and then like hunts down the freaking leader and just fucking guts him, dude. It was like the most intense thing I've ever seen. It was like some fucking John Wick shit.
Yeah, just come back from the dead and kill everyone.
Yeah, it was like so unexpected.
But that's the beauty of Space Station 13, the player human element.
Yes. That's why it's like I try to like, for our ROEs, we try to generally keep it so people can make their own stories and how it is, because the human interaction is the most important part. Because like in our certain modes, like we don't, like at the moment, there's like most of the RP modes don't have any objective, so it's open-ended. So each round is unique in each way, because it can go any different way, like depending on how the players react during the round. And I think those are the most fun times, and when it's like, because you just don't expect it, because it's just like life, you know, anything can happen.
Well, of course. And I find that experience that's something that other games can't really replicate. I mean, Space Station 13, all the best rounds I've had is because other people have added that crazy to it. It's nothing that could be created by rules, but something of someone trying to swim between them. So, what is the best sort of player for your station and community, and what is the worst?
I think the best type of player is somebody that's willing to like be okay with losing every now and then, and just generally just trying to have a good time and want to like interact with the community as a whole, give good suggestions, and just want to just keep the environment friendly, because it's like we all want to have fun. Don't be that guy, you know, salting super hard because you die, because it's like we have a 10-minute like respawn time. Like just wait it out.
Right.
Don't try to like skate around the rules, just general stuff like that. But a typical person that wouldn't be fit, it's like if you're like a play to win type person, it's probably wouldn't be the place for you, because it's like you're not gonna win majority of the time, because it's like it's brutal, like because we are using Bay code in a combat setting, so it's like a lot of salt can be generated, but you're gonna have to learn to like it happens, you know. You win some, you lose some. General, let's see what else. You just have just general just bad vibes, just like come on.
I understand.
Having it, you know.
What is your favorite role, least favorite role, and why?
Ooh, let's see. My favorite role would have to be insurrectionist ship crew, because it's like that role is pretty good, because it's like you're already kind of an antag. You're also a part of a ship now. You get to go fly around in the overmap, get to go places, get into more extra shenanigans.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite would have to be commanding officer, because it's like you have to like be a Tard Wrangler basically for the majority of the round, because it's like you have to keep tabs on people, making sure so and so didn't shoot a civilian, or this person didn't like fucking blow themselves up flying a pelican, stuff like that. And it's like if I want to like a chill time, I'll just go colonist. So I can just chill, just do some shenanigans, sell drugs, stuff like that.
I understand that. I mean, having less constraints and a role that is inherently creative is joyful.
Oh yeah, dude. It's like basically that's like the colonists, because like they're the least like heavily restricted, because most colonist civilian colonist roles you can do whatever as long as you're not like actively trying to like fight the military and shit like that. Because it's like the way it's set up, the colonies, if there's like a colony nearby with marshals and stuff, the colony as a whole can be neutral, either be supporting of the UNSC or against the UNSC and support the URF. So there's that whole little element. So when the UNSC are like acting around, it's like if there's like a group of players on the UNSC side at the time being assholes, it could just easily fuck them up later in the round because it's like if they need to go to the colony can just tell them to go fuck off and just not help them.
So, from the perspective of an admin, why are our prayers so infrequently answered, and what makes you choose to answer a prayer or be silent and let someone die of their own stupidity?
You see, I could honestly say for every other server, there's a lot of stuff going on majority of the time during a round. Like sometimes people just can't get the prayers, and then sometimes they're just ridiculous, like requests, just like, hey God, please give me a ray gun or something, something just ridiculous. But it's like I tend to like try to answer as many as possible, spawn them a cookie, or just give them a smart ass remark when if it's something I'm just not gonna give them. Like I try to give them a reply. If not, I'll do a little extra gag and make them go through these arbitrary tasks before they get what they actually want.
Of course. So, do you usually play Space Station 13? On what servers, what jobs, and why?
Honestly, nowadays I haven't really like played it in many other servers now as I used to. But back when I was active, I guess the last server I really was playing on was probably Unbound Travels, and I was just an assistant because I could just be a grade tie. But I also learned engineering on Citadel of all fucking places, because that was like one of the last places where I was just grade tiding like really hard because it was like unlisted back then. So it's like it was just mainly actual furries who gave a shit about their weird shit before it became like the furry hippie station.
So, what do you think is the most powerful department well, maybe not department, faction, shall we say, on your station or server?
Ooh, okay. Mechanically wise, like it would be the Covenant, but the players are not that robust, so I would have to give it to the UNSC because it's like they get more playtime. They actually mess with their gear more often and are willing to get into the fray.
So, as an admin, how often do you push buttons?
Oh, all the time, dude. Like, my favorite little verb I like to press. It's like cause a flood invasion. So each time I press that button, you'll end up hearing this little like creepy soundbite of the grave mind talking, and then like flood will start spawning all over the overmap and start flying everywhere and infecting the place slowly. And then you'll just like slowly start seeing comms light up with people like, what the fuck is that?
That's hilarious. So, how does the flood work on your server? Does it actually actively infect players and then use that to infect others, or is it just big mobs of shit that controls certain parts of the map and attacks anyone who comes close?
Basically, how a flood invasion starts. Typically, once I hit the button, these flood dispersal pods will spawn on the map and will just fly to the nearest overmap object. So it could be a ship, a planet, or whatever. And wherever it lands, it'll like leave biomass, which will start spawning different types of flood forms. And it's like, if your health is like 50% or below, like in a flood infector, you can get infected, and it will transform you into a combat form. And fun fact, NPC and player flood forms can in fact pick up guns and use them.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So, what would you say is the most rewarding part of being an admin and a host? Something you created bringing joy to others, or the fact that you can say you made it in your own image or way, or the fact of just having built something and succeeded in a game setting that, let's be honest, Space Station 13 has a lot of half-built projects burning by the wayside?
I really do enjoy it because it's like I've ran into so many interesting people, get to connect with a lot of like cool people, and it's like I made some really great friends, and it's like wouldn't trade it for the world. It's like 'cause I love these people, like they're really cool, and it's like in the 4 years I've been doing this, it's like I've learned a lot, and it's like it's not an endurance race. Like, take your time. People have been saying like, man, why are you guys still in pre-alpha? Because it's like there's no point in rushing it because you end up burning yourself out, and then you'll, as you said, end up getting all these half-done projects.
Well, right. I mean, I've seen, well, one, all the remakes cursed, and two, all of the people who, you'll see screenshots emerge every so often of, this is my pet project of Space Station 13, and there's no development. It's just a series of screenshots because they work hard on it and then burn out and don't touch it for a year. So I think you're really on the correct path, where you slowly build it and play it as you go, and see what people think about it, what makes it fun, and has people keep coming back to it.
And it's like a nice little building process because it's like so great to see it like evolve as much as it has since like compared to like a year or two ago. Because it's like we were even more slow back then than we are now. Because like in the current dev state where we are, we're actually like pushing out content left and right. Like we're moving like pretty fast for it in our term of pacing.
So, if you could say, as you can here in this electronic forum we are now sharing, if you could say one thing to new players on your station, or one thing to people who are thinking about playing on your station, what would it be? What message would you offer?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, get a little adventurous. Try some certain things because you never know. Because it's like we like to have fun here. Like, if you have an idea for something you want to like have to spice up around, don't be afraid to ask. Well, more than likely somebody will probably do it. You know. Oh, and another thing I would like to add.
Of course.
We do have a paid spriter program. We do pay our spriters here.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So, all of you aspirational spriters out there, get that money, dollar bills, yo. Briefcases of big faces.
Yeah.
So, oh,
Oh,
please.
God.
No, please.
Okay, yeah, because it's like basically how that goes. It's like it depends on the size and upscales. We have a different scaling for it, but basically the funds do come out of my pocket and some of the donations. So it's like I'm funding it and some of the donators too as well.
That's beautiful. So, I have to ask, as we are nearing the end of the interview, one of the most important questions of all Space Station 13, and you have confirmed you have played on a great many servers. The question that divides so many to this day: clown or mime?
Ooh, fuck, man. You know, I'm gonna have to go with the clown, man. I really have to.
Is it because they spread joy?
It's like the culture. It's there. It's like the clown is like the pure essence of SS13. If SS13 had a physical form,
It would be a clown.
Yeah, it would be exactly a fucking clown. And this shit's silly as fuck, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a clown walk through a crazy gunfight in the middle of a hallway and not get killed. I've seen a clown save and doom a station, all the while honking its little horn and squeaking around in its shoes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, as we reach the tail end of the interview, do you have anything you want to communicate to the Space Station 13 community? Shoutouts, apocalyptic warnings, requests, or so on. The time is yours.
Honestly, I would just like to see less drama in the Space Station 13 community. Because, like, come on, guys. It's just pixels on the screen. It's not that serious. Desolane's a pretty cool guy. So is Crom, and just I love my staff team. I've already said that, but I love all my players too. Like the community that is enjoying the server. You guys are awesome. Like I hope we continue like giving you guys joy, and can't wait to keep showing y'all more content we have in store because we do have a very big update in the works. That is like once that probably happens, and after our space combat art, we'll be like full alpha.
All right, that sounds awesome. What's going to be in this new development? Let's add this on as a teaser.
Basically, I know my head dev's probably going to get a little salty, but we've been doing testing with our donators and whatnot on our private test server, but it's basically going to be Operation Red Flag. If you're aware of of that scenario and whatnot.
Well, let's share that scenario with the fan base. People who may not know, what is Operation Red Flag, and how are you going to accomplish this?
Basically, the rough idea would be if a team of Spartans have been sent to capture a prophet to find the Covenant homeworld and all that. So you'll be boarding a big ass UNS Covenant cruiser and fighting our way to the top until you guys can find the prophet, stuff like that.
That's pretty fucking sweet. So it's going to be like a small kill team versus, well, in the heart of the enemy, snatch and go.
Yeah, basically, like the Covenant will have respawns while the UNSC side does not.
Well, hope you have a competent medic, especially from Baycode.
Oh yeah, no other game modes I can tell you, man. It's like medics are king.
All right, well, thank you, sir, for the interview. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, no problem. Like, I'm so glad to be here. Like, hit me up next time if you want to bullshit. You know what I mean?
Of course.